Okay, so here we have a project. It says write a program that counts the number of words, lines, and total characters, not including whitespace, in a paper, assuming that consecutive words are separated by either spaces or end-of-line characters. So I am going to assume that this is going to be dealing with a file reader, something that's reading in a file such as an essay or any kind of paper. And we want to be able to take those lines and break it down, see how many lines there are, the characters, and the words. And it says that we are assuming that the words are either broken up by spaces or end-of-line characters. So let's see how we can get this achieved. So I'm going to start off by simply importing all of the stuff that I'm going to want to use. So I'm going to go with a scanner. So import java.util, and we just want the scanner here, scanner, and then we're going to bring in some file stuff. So java.io.file, and then we are also going to need to import java.io.file not found exception, and I'll explain what these are all used for momentarily. And then we just want to keep track of our findings. So we're going to want an int that keeps track of the number of lines, so num lines, and we're going to initialize that to 0. Another one that keeps track of the number of words. And finally, one that keeps track of the number of characters. So once we have those, now we're going to want to read in the actual file itself. So we need to read in the file. So what I'm going to do is, we don't know if the file is actually going to be where we say it is. So we are going to declare outside of a try catch statement. We're going to say scanner my file is equal to null. And we're just doing that to initialize my file because we don't know if it exists or not. And we're going to do this thing called a try catch loop. We're going to say try, and this is just saying, okay, I want to try to see if we can do this, if this is possible. So we're going to say scanner file is equal to new scanner. And then we're going to say inside of the scanner, we're going to say new file. And then we're going to declare where we want to find this file. So I'm going to say that this is going to be found in my source bin of this project. And then I'm going to call it test.txt. And just go ahead, finish that off with a semicolon. Now, if this is found, then great. We want to say, well, then my file is equal to file. And then we want to be good users of our resources, and we're going to say file.close, because we're no longer going to be using it. We're now going to be using my file. And then under the next statement, we're just going to do the catch part. So we're going to do catch, and this is where the file not found exception is actually coming into use. We are going to say, well, file not found exception, and we just can give it any name. I'm going to call it E for error, and just like that, some more brackets, and I'm just going to print out system.out.println, and I'm just going to say your file does not exist. So if we wanted to run this right now, let's go ahead and run it. It's just going to say, oh, your file doesn't exist because we haven't created this file yet. So that's fine. All right, let's get rid of this. Okay, so now we are going to go ahead and continue along. So we now are going to be grabbing the file, and the file, if it exists, is going to exist within my file. So we're going to say while my file dot has next line, and what this is doing is this is just going to be reading in. This is a scanner function that's going to say, oh, does this file that I'm reading from have another line, which just means something that's not that's terminated by a new line character. And if it does, then it's going to keep looping through. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to actually get this current line. So we're going to say that string current line is equal to my file dot next line, and this current line now will be containing the value within, or that we're wanting here. This is going to be the first line. So we're just going to go ahead and say we need the first the current line. All right, so we've got the current line. Now, it's possible that the current line that we're on actually has nothing in it, and it just immediately terminates to another line. It still counts as a line, but we aren't going to actually have anything there. So we're going to just get a size here. This is important. Int size is equal to current line dot length, and this is just to tell us how many characters are within this, and this includes our spaces. So we can't just say, oh, well, increment the number of chars by the size, because we want to get out those blank spaces. And now I'm going to do something a little bit interesting here. I'm going to say, okay, Boolean found divide, and I'm going to set this equal to true. Because if we are coming into a new line, that means that we have been divided. This means that we have not seen any characters yet on this line. In other words, we haven't found a word yet on this line. So I'm just going to put a little comment here saying no words on this line. So that means we have some kind of division. And then I'm going to have another Boolean, and this one's going to say found char. And this is going to be set to false because we're just coming to this line. So no characters yet. Period. And that's pretty self-explanatory because we're just coming to this line. We haven't read anything from this line. It could be blank. It could have no words. So we're just going to check. Found division, true, because we are on a new line. Found character, false. Haven't ran into any characters yet. Now, we are going to go ahead and make a for loop that is going to loop through the size of our string and check the characters down. So we're just going to say for int I is equal to 0, I is less than size, and increment the I. Okay, so now this is going to be able to go through the line, and I'm just going to make a comment. We want to check current line for words. Okay, so if the char, if cur line dot char at I, if this is equal to blank space, then this means that we have a division. So we have a division. This does not mean that we necessarily have a new word, because it could just be a blank. So we set found division equal to true. Found char is equal to false, because from the last division we haven't found another char yet. Since last division no chars. And then I think that's all we need if we found blank space. Else, well, in this case, we found a char because we are considering any characters that are not blank space or new line characters and separated by new line characters or blank space. We're considering those words. That's just how the prompt worded it. So in this case, we have found a char. And that means that we have found, we want to set found char to true. Okay, so if we found a char, that means our char count can increment. So num chars plus plus. And now we want to go down here and we want to check. So if we have found a char and we have found a division, then this means that we have found a place where we had some kind of division and then another word has appeared. So we can increment the number of words. So num words plus plus. All right, so that looks good. So our num chars are going up here under this condition. Oh, and since we have found a char, we have not found a division since our last char. So found div is equal to false. No divisions since last char. Okay, so now all we have to do is we have to say down here, back in our while loop, that we have found a new line. So num lines plus plus. And I think that we'll be able to get all of the information we need. Oh, is this around our while loop? Where is our last char? Ah, there it is. Okay. So we're outside of the while loop. Now we just need to give that information. So now we have all the data. Let's print it. Okay, so we have our data, we just need to print it out. So let's just do some system out prints. Just say number of words is equal to plus num words. Number of lines is equal to plus num lines, and lastly the number of characters is equal to plus num chars. So this will be covering the number of words, number of lines, and number of characters. Now we have to go and put the file where it belongs. So we're actually going to go into our file directory. We're going to go to wherever your workspace is designated. Go to your project, and so this is under tutorials. And I'm going to just go straight to source. And here I'm just going to create a new text document, and I'm going to call it test txt because that's where I said it was going to be. And then in here we're just going to write some words to give it some testing. So I'm going to do here is my test file dot, we'll do a space and a new line, so that way we can test, make sure that we're covering those. I want it to have a total of 4 lines. 4 lines, 20, let's do, end it with that, and space, 22 words, period, no comma, and a lot of chars. And we'll finish off the period and space. So this should have a total of 22 words. It should have 4 lines, and I'm not sure how many chars. If somebody is bored enough, they can go count it. But I'm just gonna save this here, exit out of this, go back in here, run it, and, oh, legal state exception. Ah, okay, so I actually made a mistake here. Here, this line, since I'm setting this, my file to this file needs to stay open until I'm completely done with it. So I'm actually going to remove this line, and then going to close it when I get here. So we're gonna say file, we're just gonna say my file dot close, and this will close both of them. So that'll be fine. All right, let's try this once again. And we get number of words, 22, number of lines, 4, and number of characters, 80. And I'll count the words, I'll count through the words and the lines real fast. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Yeah, so 22 words. We have 4 lines, and I don't know how many chars this is, but I'm just going to assume that this has the right number of chars. So yeah, if you are trying to read through a file and get the number of words, lines, and total characters by this metric of those things, this is how you do it. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more of these tutorials, please subscribe to my channel. And if you have any thing that you want in particular, go ahead and leave it in the comments below. Thanks.